I'm Mike. Julianne is here with me, and this week has a very specific shape to it that you're going to want to hear. We've got the weekly overview, an oracle pull for the week, this week's survival tool from the 8 limbs of yoga. Feedback, love that. Okay. This week's survival tool from the 8 limbs of yoga, your day-by-day guidance, and a closing pull at the end. Let's go. You have no audio. I can't hear you.
Okay, well, I have no audio, so let's try this again. So we picked the stargazing. That was the oracle card for the week that you didn't hear, because why would I have anything work right off the bat? So pulling the week card. This is the opening of the week. It's the energetic tone, the forecast for the week, and it is the stargazing. When you gaze at the stars, you give yourself fairy focus. Your intuition will flow more freely and reveal what you need to know about your situation. So the clarity is beginning of the week. The overall message are let our intuition flow, and that will reveal what we need to do about the situations that we come across for today. So that is it seems kind of quite appropriate for where we're starting. So I guess, do you have any thoughts on that card, Mike?
I love the cards, so whether or not I have an interpretation of the cards, that's your specialty. I just love seeing the colors and hearing your interpretation of what they mean.
Well, my first reaction to the card, my personal one, is it does seem appropriate, right? Because it's all about following the intuition. This is all about, letting that your gut instinct follow what you need to hear for the week. Oh, hello, Lois. Thanks for joining us. Okay, let's get into the energetic check-in for this week. So I'm going to bring up my next screen. So we're doing it a little different. As you might have noticed, we're trying a newer layout. So if you have joined me before, it's a little bit different. We're still going to go through each of the days, but let's overview what the week looks like. So we know we've got the message of stargazing and focusing on our intuition. That's going to be kind of the background message from the guides. But what we've got going on this week, bring this up here. Okay, so this week we have a very specific shape as we go into it. So we're opening with the number 9, numerology 9, and then it turns to 1 on May 1st. So 9 is the completion. So it's like the full moon cycle closes here. So we're now outside of the full moon and all of that energy, which was a really intense energy from last week. Any thoughts on how that hit you, Mike, the energy from the full moon?
Oh, energy's been really heavy all week. All week. Like, it's just not even funny how it's been. I think, as I said, Monday to Wednesday, Monday to I've still got people ghosting me on conversations, and I can just send them a new text message, a new email, and it's silence. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, the intention is today, but the numerology, that completion of the full moon in that weird phase is ending. And as of tomorrow, as we move into May 4th, May 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. We're in a brand new cycle. So let's put out the intention that that will break the ghosting loop you've been in, and it'll really feel like the first breath of something genuinely fresh and new. So I feel like we're ready for something like that. So we also have like, so today again, 9 turning to 1 in the same week is a threshold crossing. So it's not just a change, it is going from the ending into something new. So I guess, do you guys feel like for yourself, and I'm putting it out there for everybody else, is there something, does it feel like something's completing or something new is beginning? What about yourself, Mike? Do you have a feeling on either of those?
Well, there's new stuff beginning all the time in our lives because there's projects come in, and then it's energy. It's like watching your energy because there's certain things you want progress on that you don't feel like you're getting progress on for myself or my students or my custom clients. And it's like, why aren't we making any progress on this? Why is this person not getting back to me? And it's like, okay, I can't get frustrated over it. I internally feel like I want to get frustrated. And then I'm like, I can't get frustrated because I don't want to say the wrong thing to somebody, or maybe they're going through something in their life and they just don't have even the words to communicate back with me. So I just gotta, wait for the full moon energy to pass.
Oh, well, and it might be good because I'm just gonna say as a side note, as we're looking, it doesn't look, well, it doesn't look like the comments are going to Rumble. So I don't know if it's actually working on Rumble where,
I don't know because I'm just checking it. I was just making sure what I was gonna paste into the chat. You look like you did that. You beat me to it because so I was like, okay, let me go check on Rumble and Substack because we're not
well, and that
sure.
that includes the tech issue, which has been highlighted as well. We're definitely going through technical issues, which again, because we're at the ending, um of that cycle, let's hope that like as we go into Monday that we're like done this era of tech issues, which I don't think we're ever done tech issues till we no longer are using tech, right? So interesting. We also have, so if we continue with the highlights of the week, so we really are, the full moon cycle is closing. So today's kind of the ending of that. If you felt that energy, we're going into new and fresh. So if you're feeling like there's things stagnant that have been difficult to get through, that's the intention with this energy, with the numerology. Now, where we show up again is on the 7th of May, we're getting into that universal 22 number numerology that I've talked about. And that's that master build energy. So we're getting it again this week. So that with the new moon that we had April 17th, then we had another master builder on the 26th, which was the week in Leo, and then another big transition going into the Uranus and Gemini cycle. So now we have May 7th, which is new universal day 22 under the Capricorn moon. So it's interesting that each of these 22, so these master builder numbers and numerology, land on days that it really wants to amplify the energy. So it's interesting because it's not it's amplifies what it is asking. So we keep getting this numerology that just is aligned on these very powerful days. So the combination is worth paying attention to, that we've now had these number 22 builder days on very energetic, powerful days. And the 22 alone is worth paying attention to because it does align with those type of energies. And so it's just landing in different parts of our alignment, right? So we're still getting that 22. It's just landing on a different spot each time, and it's really highlighting it, right? So when it landed on the 17th of April on that Friday, that was really the energy of the bold declaration. And that closed that week and was adding, like planting the seeds. When we had the Master Builder 22 on April 26th, which was the Sunday, it was Leo saying, be seen, commit publicly. So that was that same energy. So now on the 7th, which is, what day is the 7th? Monday is the 4th, 5th, 6th. So like Thursday, is that what day that is? The 7th? Thursday is midweek inside of Capricorn, and that's now showing us what's inside our structure. What the building what is building and what is actually happening. So it's just interesting on how this numerology has been working. So each appearance is the same question, but we're asking it at a deeper level. So it was like the 17th, the 26th, and now we're May 7th. So we're literally just going deeper into asking um that same question and diving deeper into what that means for us. I guess what do you think 22 has been asking you specifically, Mike? Have you felt this in your life? Do you see something like that kind of amping up?
Oh yeah. So I'm asked all the time, why doesn't this work? 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 And my answer is it's energy. And if it's not gonna work, we just gotta move on with the move on, roll on without it, and realign and check in a week if it's gonna work, because it's I don't always have the good answers to satisfy people's questions.
That's true.
Right? Because I'm like looking and I'm like, why is Rumble and Substack just stopped working like the last 2 weeks? And we want to use those and support and leverage those networks. And it's like, wait a minute, it was so easy with Restream before, and now it just like they've updated stuff on there. I'm like, okay, all right, I just have to continuously fix it, and then it works for whatever. I have to move the energy past that. So
Well,
I
it
don't
is
know.
interesting because that you bring that up because the way we were connecting when we were restreaming with Rumble and Substack was a different way. And then they stopped working on the last live. And then we were showing some students this process, and Rumble now shows up as its own, like a different way where we had to do like a back end encoded way to hook up. Now it looks like it's got an easier front end, but now we're testing it out to see if it even works,
Oh, it
right?
doesn't work.
So I guess it's building those layers in that level too. Like what's interesting, and this is something that I'm finding is a huge trend, is what you think you know and what is set up and how it's working, literally a few days later may be completely different. Like that is the reality we're in. And I can definitely see that with technology because now we've been doing our visibility engine with students. And I'll have said something early on in the first few weeks, which now things have changed on the back end, and that no longer even valid information based on what has changed in that technology. So we're in this weird time, I feel, where things are going faster. Our days go by so quick, especially being out here in Atlantic Canada. It's literally a wake up and it's already time for bed. Like it's so weird. Time is traveling so weird, and technology is advancing at a speed that I don't think we've ever seen in our entire lives. Like the fact that I can literally be talking about something, it works 1 week, and within a week, everything has changed on how that even speaks. It's not a one-off. It's happening so often that I find that weird.
Yeah, no, I time zones are weird, energy's weird, and I solve it. I have this burden because it's like I solve tech issues for people, or that's my claim to fame, and I feel like it is what I've built my identity on over the last 20 years. And then it's like, okay, well, what about this? And what about this? And I'm like, listening to people, I'm like, you make things too complicated when you don't even have the basics working. So why are we even jumping to complications when the basics don't even work? Like, it's like
Well,
you're mentally
exactly,
setting
because
yourself up for failure.
yeah, and when we add the complexity of them, it doesn't even mean that complexity of that process will even exist by the time you're ready for it.
So you brought up the visibility edge, and that is why I'm like, the basics is make content.
Yes.
Titles, descriptions, all the other fancy stuff you want on it. You got to be able to make content first, right? And then not be stressed out when things don't go your live properly or upload, or like you went and I'm like, why can't I hear you? I'm like, do you have your microphone muted?
Yes, I did. I did have it. I thought I had unmuted myself, but I was just
No,
talking
but this is
to
why,
myself.
you're never gonna see results until you accept where you are, and then go figure out what the energy, because you've brought it up before, where it's just like some days the energy is going to be just tough based on your astrology, and even no matter how much effort you put in, there won't be a success. But then tomorrow you can take 2 seconds to look at it, you're like, oh, but I don't want to call myself dumb, but you're like, why was I struggling so many hours and so many frustrations with it yesterday? And today, with rested eyes and mental clarity, it's easy to solve. And you're like,
Or just the changes. The astrology opened up and is like, "We're just gonna let it flow," because we just had this imaginary
so that
block that you were just hitting because that was fun, and I feel like astrology mocks us sometimes. That's just my personal opinion. And I am gonna say, with the frustration of, showing up and things not working, I was texting my mom, and hello. Yes, I totally agree, Lois, that they're still processing from the full moon. So I get that. I do. But it's interesting because I'm not going to lie, this morning, showing up and seeing in the lives that there is a camera sitting in a Ricky's restaurant, just looking at their cooks making breakfast and had 2,100 people watching it live. And then I'm sitting here going, I want to help and heal and serve humanity and offer knowledge to assist people in making better choices and making it through the energies. And I'm lucky if I can keep an attention span of 5 people.
but you're not
Seems like
cooking in Ricky's restaurant.
I know I should be working at Ricky's and be making you your eggs, and then everybody would want to watch that.
You know
Because,
what? You brought that up. I don't know if you heard, but um, there was like Mr. Beast, right? And he like has chocolate bars and he puts them in stores. And he was like, why are we getting so many like why is there such a quality control issue? And he's like, this is really bothering me that the stores are reporting broken chocolate bars and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, I have to go set up cameras. This Walmart's not gonna do nothing about it. Target's not gonna, he's like literally set up his own private cameras to go record the stores that reported all these quality control issues with the chocolate. He set up cameras to figure out that people were sabotaging him.
Well, you know what? That doesn't even surprise me. That doesn't, because we really have this reality where it is like when you offer something good and you're offering something that you care about, it's amazing how many people want to poop on your parade, want to destroy you, want to bring you down, want to ruin your reputation out of like jealousy, right? Like, and that is an underlying problem of where we're going to struggle evolving as a humanity when we do that against each other, right? Like Mr. Beast isn't your enemy. He's not causing you problems. Why are you doing that to his products? Why are you trying to ruin his reputation? Did he do something personally to you? Probably not. You're just a dickwad. I don't even know what to say because we literally have a lot of growing as a society when people feel that way, that they destroy people's products. So he ends up having to investigate himself, going, why is it just these one-off locations? What is happening? Or vice versa, that people have an attention span to watch brain rot, but God forbid you actually listen to something. But this is how they've got us, like instant, like the shorts, the clips, like God forbid you talk longer than 30 seconds. You've got no attention span after 30 seconds. We're lucky if we can keep people's attention spans for even 4 seconds anymore. Because I think that was what it was back in the 90s, was like a 4 second attention span. I don't even know if we can get a half a second attention span.
I think it's generational, right? Because we were born I have attention, but I need to look, I so it's I agree. You're a creator making content, you're like, well, what's the payoff? Like, how many times do I have to do this to get an audience? But it's the same as like, running a business and promoting yourself. And people are like, all you do is promote yourself. And you're like, well, you think you're giving me that feedback on all I do is promote myself, yet my bank account shows something different. Because promotion
Well,
doesn't
exactly,
that's
exactly.
like going live doesn't mean you're gonna get views. Promoting your business doesn't mean you're gonna get business. And people are like, "Oh, well, that's all I see you hear you talk about, blah blah blah." And then I'm like, all I hear and see you talk about is you wasting your life and wasting your time and what, like. So it's just the energy, right? So pulling it back.
Pulling it back. So anyways,
You brought up
sitting
Ricky's
here
restaurant.
watching a live of somebody cooking with 2,100 people, think if that's worth your time. I'm just saying. Just watching somebody make eggs. How about you just go make your own eggs? You know, it's free. And then you don't even have to run your internet. You can just watch yourself making something productive in your own life. But on that rant, like, okay, so we are through the numerology, right? So we are now inside a structure of a deeper level of commitment. And I think that's also why it's bringing up a lot of these things of what they don't have value that we're still kind of stuck in as a society. But as we go through the week, so moving past the numerology, so we can get into some good stuff here, we've got the moon in Sagittarius this week. So meaning it rises from the last week's Scorpio depth. So if you're following me, the full moon was putting that spotlight on what needed to be changed and looked at. And now we're putting more meaning of what did that spotlight, what did the Scorpio moon really mean, right? Then we're also moving into Capricorn about middle of the week, which is structure, long game, grounding the news cycle into something different, something real, right? Because now we're being called to go into this new time because we're like the numerology. We've ended through the full moon and now it's this new beginning. We get into Aquarius by the end of the week, which is our collective vision, zooming out, seeing the bigger pattern. Maybe we're going to see this bigger pattern. Like, are we wasting time? What are what are we doing collectively? Right. And then as we go through the week, we're through the elements. We've got fire to earth to air, which is really declaring the meaning, the structure, and then seeing it clearly. So we're declaring what we want to do. We start to get that structure through the air and then, or sorry, through the earth. And then we see it more, like a little more clearly by the end of the week as we get into that air element. And we're going to also feel that Gemini effect concretely now, because now we're going into so we jumped into that Uranus Gemini, which was, and then we went into the full moon. Now we're out of our first full moon in that, and this is going to be the first full week without a full moon and just in that Uranus Gemini. So people are going to feel it more concretely now. Communication, expression, information all feel different. This is the energy to look for, is how do they feel different? How does it feel different communicating? How does it feel different with the information you're coming across? So that's going to be a trend we're going to see as well. Jupiter is now in Cancer. So we've got emotional support available for those willing to feel their way forward, not just think their way forward. So I'm not going to lie. If I'm thinking my way forward, I don't even want to show up. It's frustrating. It is frustrating to be like, literally, you got 2,100 people staring at people cook something, and God forbid you offer anything, and you're lucky to get any attention span, right? So the Jupiter in Cancer really highlights for myself feeling my way, that is there value that I'm still offering to people, and not looking at the surface numbers that I'm not having 2,100 people show up. I'm getting a few people, but that my impact will be bigger than the 2,100 people watching somebody cook something,
It's because they're
right?
hungry.
He said they're hungry. Go make your own food. You know what?
It's like,
I won't watch cooking stuff. It's dangerous. When we did have cable and we watched Food Network, how much more junk food how much more did we eat? Because you'd be watching one of those shows, and I remember loving watching the Iron Chef, and it being like them showing their Asian cuisines, because it was always like the original, like with the all the Chinese and Asian chefs in them. I loved it, but I would always be so hungry, and it didn't matter what I ate. It was never as satisfying as what I would watch them cook. Just saying, right? So, I guess that's the whole thing. If you're watching cooking porn, maybe you should go make something to eat. And then the last part of this week is the sun is still in Taurus, which is bringing slow down, feel it in your body. What is already here has value. So it's realigning and seeing what is here, what's still going forward, and that it's still like what is still holding value, because that was what Uranus in Taurus that we just left was highlighting what worth was about. And now with that Taurus is it's still here. We still got sun in Taurus, which is bringing that worth value, but now we're in Uranus and Gemini, and then it's that communication. So now we're really slowing down and seeing what has held value through all of that. So I guess, Mike, do you have any observations or any notes on that before we jump into the best way to get through this time?
um, I You brought up the emotional support, and I acknowledge that. I don't feel like it is such a requirement for myself, but then I look at other people I'm dealing with, and I'm like, all right, this is, you don't know how things affect people until you find that they're pulling away. Maybe that's why people are ghosting me. They're just in the that's what centers in the, it just I know it's been heavy, and now that the full moon's passing, and how many, like realistically, how many days does it take somebody to get over that full moon energy after it passes? Because there's the build up to it, and I know we had comments on one of my posts this week that I just posted our show. It was a Thursday show, right? Because it was the full moon eve, and people who don't comment on my stuff commented on it. And I was like, okay, they're aware of it, and they're obviously feeling they made a comment because they were discussing it with somebody else, which I thought was super interesting, right? So I was like, how when the full moons come, good question for you. When the full moons come, how many days before is it affecting people, and how many days after does it affect people?
Well,
Or
each person's gonna be different in your charts because each month can be totally different on the length and the how much it's gonna affect you based on what your charts are and then what alignment that full moon is showing up under, right? So if it shows up in Cancer and Cancer's strong in your and that's your sun, like for example, myself, I'm a Cancer and it shows up in Cancer, it's gonna be very different than you being a Sagittarius and it's showing up in Cancer because it's gonna highlight slightly different things. So but on average, it can easily be 2 to, like, 4 days before to 2 days to 4 days after. It can really be within that week before and after that full moon that we can feel the effects and have them start to show up in our own lives. And one thing I do recommend, and we'll talk about it again later on, is that my Awaken Light app, because that will help you understand how these specific alignments affect you. Like we're talking about collective and what we're going to see, but how it's really going to affect you in the time periods and how long is going to be different for each person. And like I said, where that moon hits in your astrology and what houses it highlights and how it's going to look will definitely be different for each person. Unfortunately, it's not one prescriptive thing for everybody, but we are going to do one prescriptive thing to help everybody. So we're laying out the format. We're going to go into the 2-day periods right away, but so as you might have noticed with this new format, we are going to pull a card, kind of review the week, the energy, and now we're going to bring in the yoga. So this is the base of what I've been doing for years, was always yoga. This is Breathe Within Yoga. I've got lots of yoga videos here. So now I'm working on implementing that these lives will be holistic, very much like my focus on working on the app. So we're going to bring some yoga into it, and we're going to use it as a way to pull our body into the astrology, into the charts, and use ways to assist us. So today, we're going to start going through some of the benefits of this alignment, and we're going to actually work on. I'm going to teach everybody a breath work today. Okay. So that's where we're going to go. And we're going to do a yogic breath work, which is in alignment with the energies for today. And let me explain a little bit on the background of how this works. So there is 8 limbs of yoga, and I've talked about this before. It's not just the physical movements. There's breath, there's meditation, there's chanting, there's all these other parts that make up yoga. Yoga is not just the physical movements. This is the first thing that is misunderstood very much in North America is yoga means you're doing stretches. That is the North American version, but that's missing out on 7 other parts of what actually is part of yoga. The idea with yoga is to become centered, bliss, and be able to be completely aligned and open to getting divine messages and your intuition, right? So there's all these methods to get there. Your physical body is just one of them. But we're going to look at today a survival tool to help us. And we're going to look at the 4th limb, the pranayama, which is the breath control, as I mentioned. So this is regulating life force through breath. So today we've had, or why this makes sense and why we're going to focus on breath today. We had Scorpio full moon last week, which Scorpio rules held breath and suppresses breath. So if you're feeling, especially now that you haven't been breathing as deeply, or it's just not, like you can't get enough air, that would be quite appropriate for that. The breath that moves emotion through your body instead of letting it sit. So breath work is really good to help move energy and get it moving, just like movement, which we can talk about. Like if you've ever done a yoga class or fitness class, or you're frustrated, you go on a treadmill or you go for a run and you can feel that energy move. We're using a different technique, using the breath to do that same idea. And if we're still carrying something from last week, it's not just in your mind, it's in your body, and that this is gonna help us get rid of that, which is probably what I needed today because I was like, "I need to get rid of that," so we're gonna work on that today. The reason, the energetic background of it, as Uranus settles in Gemini rules our lungs and our respiratory system. So this is something we're also implementing with our app, is that there is parts of your body that are more affected by certain transits. And especially now with the lungs and respiratory system, that's very highlighted with this Uranus in Gemini. Then our nervous system needs recalibrating. So that is what this breath is good. People are restless, have anxiety, maybe they're ghosting because they're stressed out about their own scenario, right? We don't really know where everybody's headspace is. So this is to help us recalibrate as well. And pranayama, the breath work, is a direct intervention, which is also with the numerology 9 to 1, making it perfect, right? So we're ending, opening up for the new beginning. And the number 9 numerology is about exhaling what is completed. And number 1 is inhaling the beginning. So as we go through it, I'm going to give you that target to visualize letting go of the endings on the exhale and inhaling beginnings as we do that. So we're going to go through this. But before we get into this, because I'm going to teach everybody this breath work today, make sure you're comfortable. You don't have to go anywhere. We're just going to be breathing, but make sure you're comfortable. And I want everybody to put one hand on their chest. So put one hand on your chest right now. And I want you can close your eyes if that helps, and take a moment to notice how you're breathing. So just let your breath come in and just kind of notice, like, does your chest expand a lot? Is it kind of shallow? We're just taking a couple breaths, and there's no right or wrong. We're taking that moment to become aware and notice how the breath is feeling at this point here at the beginning. Now, have you noticed
I got a ton back. No, it's because I couldn't like microphone. I don't know. I was making a comment. YouTube removed the comments, and I was like, why can't I leave a comment? So, you know what? Breathwork is super important, and I remember always being told it, and then, which might not be the proper answer to your question, but I am answering breathwork question because everything I go to, no matter if it's trade show, conference, or whatever, there's always somebody bringing up the breath work. So there's so many people in my industry who've already incorporated that into their life because they know it's important. And I'm like, okay, I've got this experience because I've done. You're a yoga instructor. You've gone through a lot of different types of breath work and some of this forward breath work thing with where was that? Everywhere as I go, there's always somebody asking me my astrology sign. I doing breath work exercise. It's interesting. Right. I'm typing them into the chat. I definitely. It just calms you, right? So I know this is why it's suggested to do breath work, because even our friend Dr. Hansen, who's a chiropractor, he's like, guess what? Breath work. You gotta do the breath work because your body, whatever's going on, you're tight, your teeth are clenched, you're angry about something, you're stressed out, or something's not going to plan, and you just gotta release um that buildup because you gotta move forward, right? So breathwork's super important. And I know why. I'm trying to remember who told me to do it the other day. It is like, why do you think I do I sound stressed? They're like, I think we should do some breath work. I was like, who? Which Zoom call was like? Oh, it was recent, and I'm like, I've never really, I don't. It just threw me off because I don't think I've ever had anybody in a Zoom call before, like a virtual cup of coffee, getting to know each other from this group or this group. I don't think anybody's ever introduced breath work with me. And I was like, okay, after like, oh, is it? Do you find that weird? I'm like, no, I don't find it weird because of my wife's a yoga instructor. I've like gone through all these things, and breath work's critical. And any a chiropractor or any other medical practitioners are going to tell you to do the exact same thing, especially when you're look stressed or whatever, whatever you're asking for help to solve something. So I'm like, maybe I should incorporate that when I'm asking people. I can see you're stressed with your technology or your YouTube channel or whatever. Like, should we just start with breath work? I know. I remember this. I totally. You brought this up. I was like, I remember this. You practicing it, or you doing it with your yoga students in your class all the time. I remember this vividly. I know you built a lot into this app, and I don't even think I found this part yet. we're fixing it every day, so we appreciate the feedback because we've had beta testers testing the app, and they've got questions because everyone's astrology curious. I don't know if that's the right term. Astrology curious, and but they're like, I don't know what this. I like it, but I don't know what it means. And it's like, okay, it, there's a lot. The whole reason Julie built it was because she's like, I want one center place for all this stuff I like to be, and I want to be able to explain it to people so they understand how astrology affects their decision making, their travel hiccups, and all the other things in life. You don't realize how much it affects you. That's that's an amazing deal. That's an amazing deal because we've already had somebody say they're gonna join sooner because she asked me how many extra sessions she would get, and I'm like, "I'm happy you're excited, so send the payment and then we can get started." Well, we have students who, yeah, I do because we have students who've started and students who are just getting started in the visibility engine, live streaming to YouTube, learning how to do shorts, the whole process. And no one's going to be perfect because we're humans. We're not perfect. We're just dedicated to fixing processes and making progress, documenting what works, documenting that what doesn't work. And it's just this week's going to be, we have students launching their podcast or their weekly show. And when I touched base with them yesterday, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm good." And when I touch base with them today, they're like, "I don't know what." It's not that they don't know what they're doing, but the bravery they showed yesterday has now been erased today because tomorrow's game time. And I was like, "This is why I'm touching base with you, because you were very, very confident yesterday, and I know you want everything to work tomorrow. That is why today, after Julie and I produce this show, I'll be following up with you, and we're gonna have to go set up the tomorrow stream and do a test stream today, because even what we've learned is, even if everything looks like it's set up properly, when you go live, it may be 100% good. The force may be with you, and 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 but mentally, how are you prepared to equip with that? You're either gonna run and cry and just disappear, or you're gonna continue on with the show and take a deep breath. And like today, we're like, okay, we're unsure of Rumble and Substack because it was working great, and then recently it stopped working, and we're like, now there's new options, which means that for me, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna, I was like, we turned them on. We're gonna have to go do more testing. Whatever, whatever. So that's with no YouTube, and you figure this. This is where I had to just figure it out, and I know you hate that answer, but I literally just had to figure it out myself. It's a matter of, well, the challenge right now is that things were able to be documented and it worked because things didn't change all the time. Like, we were literally university days, and I know that's 2 decades ago, right? Right, it's 2 decades ago. Things were like not really changing for 2 years, so there was a time for it to be released, documented, and everything to be the same for like a good 2 years. And now it's like, hey, what you did yesterday doesn't even exist anymore. Now, so so you don't like paying to be a guinea pig, aka a beta tester, which is literally what I find everything today is. Doesn't matter if it's appliances, vehicles, like everything, because it's computerized. Your expectation is like, hey, I grew up with something, it would last 10, 15, 20, 30. Furniture TVs still work, but now we have thin flat screens, and you're like, what, you got like 3 4 years, oh sorry, you look at it wrong and it cracks the screen. But that furniture TV, you could play soccer off of it and it was still working. Take the ball off of it. So now a kid throws a game controller remote across the room at the TV. The 70-inch TV shattered, but I'm like, yeah, you could throw it against a tube TV, and that thing would still work, right? Like it's just like no. Well, Well, it just build up that huge mountain because we've even seen it, um, with the variety. We have both male and female students, right? And in vastly different industries. And you're like, just get like today, do this, tomorrow, do this. And it's like, oh, I want to do everything at once. And it's like, just get started in one step, right? Because the reason we've got the visibility engine the way it is, it's like literally do stuff and build it out. So you don't have so you don't have to be so you don't have to be in there all week. Like realistically, if you're just getting started and you don't have a lot of content, you could film for half hour, 1 hour per week, chop that up, and schedule those shorts. And then that's literally what, 2 maybe 3 hours if you really want to be crazy OCD with pretty looking like thumbnails are great, all this stuff. But when people spend so much time on one particular aspect of it, I'm like, I don't think that's going to give you the payoff you think it will until you have a huge audience. And then split testing may be important. But right now, just the baby steps. But then the energy gets blocked. But the energy gets blocked because of the full moon. So I'm really, my question was like, how long? Like, is tomorrow game day? Everybody should be reset off of the full, or do they have to go use your app and figure out what their energy, what their power? Okay. What are we building? What are we building? That's a good question because I had a word. I wanted to. Um, it's a community. I want to know, despite all the flaws I may have with um, video production, I want to get other people started because we all learn from each other. Because it's I've come into um, producing shows with like a different organization before, right? And it's like, wait, and I saw all the issues people were having with going live, producing, being inconsistent, technology issues, and all of that stuff. And I'm like, really, with our visibility engine, with our YouTube University, it's like, hey, we know I see failure all the time from other people who are doing it, and then just quit. It's like, okay, you need somebody to just hold your hand, be accountable, maybe be a little bit mean to say, okay, this ain't working. I don't like this. Some of our students say, hey, I don't want to do lives. I'm like, going live is just a suggestion of a way to make content for your business. You can record it and upload it, or you can just focus on shorts, but you constantly need to be making content and changing and just getting better at your promotion, because it doesn't matter. You brought up when you were at a it was a craft sale this week or last week or whenever recently, that somebody was you didn't have your elevator pitch in person nailed down to 60 seconds. And then you like, oh, I need, and then you brought up business cards, and it's like, you've seen my progression with my business cards, right? Because I've used professional designers. I've designed them myself. You go through a box of 100, 500, 1,000, and you're like, well, what do I go forward with? Because you right? And then back at the end where I'm like, I've got a handful left saying I'm a producer for Mupo Entertainment. And then I've got some with like my books when I was promoting my first book, and now I'm on my fifth book. And I'm like, me promoting my own books, I need to. This is why I'm inviting author. We actually do have author, because our newest student is an author, and that is exactly what she's producing tomorrow. Is highlighting her authors and creating content to promote her books. Right. So, a community. What I'm building, a community of like-minded creators who want to get started, or they just want somebody to they need somebody to hold them accountable to actually start and continue every single week, no matter at what speed that they're moving at, or what they're learning, what they perceive their learning curve to be, because there's going to be learning curve and emotions, and some people really want to see subscribers and comments in the chat, and that you may not get that satisfaction right off the bat unless you have go film yourself cooking breakfast every day. It could be structured advertisement for rookies, because they're like, hey, we don't know what to do, so we're just gonna. And I've given. Okay, have you not heard me give this comment to other people who have brick and mortars and say, leave your cat. You're like, I don't know, I'm too boring. I'm like, I understand you feel like you're too boring, because that is the struggle every single business owner says when they're not getting the clients coming in like they think they should be, or when they're reviewing their own video. Oh, like, this is not good. I'm like, but you're starting and you're crafting your story and your storytelling style. So this is why, if you're not sure what to do, just put up a camera. Like, it's about, like, our one of our students, David, where the building that we're going to be hosting the May in-person YouTube University boot camp. That's literally a furniture construction business. That stuff should be. Who wouldn't watch, if you're gonna watch eggs being cooked at a Ricky's? You're likely gonna watch. Exactly. And this is why I hold space Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern, for I Am YouTube Famous, because I want people to come in and pick my brain about getting started with their content or what they're doing wrong, because then we as a collective can go look and say, hey, um, maybe you got to just change it. I'm not saying it's going to be a good answer, but you need to ask somebody who's going to give you fresh ideas to change something up, and then just measure. Oh, hey, 0 views, 100 views, 100 views, 5,000. Okay, I just had to get input from other people who are also working on it every day. All, all, all the AI experts out there, really, they're just like. Or the other student, and I'm like, she mentioned something about chatty, and I'm like, is that, are you referring to ChatGPT? How did you know, Mike? And I was like, because I think everybody's given ChatGPT the same nickname. And then I was like, and then I asked him, like, is that the only relation? Is that the only AI you have a relationship with? What type of question is that? Is like, I want to know, as your YouTube coach, are you how much are you using ChatGPT versus Canva? Where are you planning to build your graphics? Because that's part of it. Titles, description, graphics, like all this stuff, all these assets you're putting onto your YouTube channel. Where are you, like, are you coming up with it? Is it an AI? Are you using multiples to see what the answers are? Because if Julianne, if my wife and I show you what we've been building, um, you'll be like, well, what did you build that in? And well, it's like, oh, well, this is our process, and I don't want to show you. I will happily show you our process, but I don't want to confuse you if you're thinking ChatGPT is as good as sliced bread. Like, that's the magic. Like, it's there, because I'm not. I don't. I know, but as I'm saying, like, our curriculum is like, here's what you need to do. Where are you at? And where do we need to, like, what when do you need today, so that tomorrow, like, we need to know exactly how people are gonna progress because there's some that are like, "Hey, I like this," and then they don't like it. And it's like, "Okay, where's that?" Well, it's funny because you're talking about, like, compartmentalizing, and I was like, "Man, this is why everybody's like," er, a lot of people's, um live by a schedule. And it's like, are you, it's like, oh, Saturday, this time to this time, it's this chore, this time to this time, is this chore, because it's just been programmed by like a salary job to do certain things during certain times. And it's like, but life doesn't really go that we life doesn't really play out that way because it's especially when you've got kids, you're like we only have one, so it's not like we have to split our attention across multiple children and they're going to be like arguing who gets the most attention. But it's definitely like certain things just end up taking more, they're not going to fit into that box of time that you assign them, or they're going to be resentful that they only got that time, right? So it's kind of um I've got some clients who are super needy and I know it, and I'm like every time they call, they're gonna be on the phone with you. You fix the problem in 5 minutes, but they want that 1 hour, 2-hour conversation. We even had that with we were on the call with the student the other day, and, I was like, "Okay, he's gotta get off the phone because his next door neighbor is wanting his attention." And it sounds like that happens a lot because, like, oh, every Sunday there's gonna be that meal, and you're just gonna be, expected to participate and take that with a smile. No, 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 I'm just that that's what I feel like. And that's totally how I feel with the YouTube university that we run, because I'm like, I don't care what level of business you're at. I don't care if you're making money, you're nonprofit, you're not, like, I don't care. It's literally, you've heard it, in order to get anything done, to build a relationship, to get money, to do this, to get feedback on, maybe you're doing something nonprofit and you just want feedback on methodology, you need to promote it. And you're either going to have a video promotion ready for them and you can send them a link, or you're going to be doing the talking points verbally to them, right? So tribes and super important. Uranus. Patience, politeness. Um, Celebrate the thought. I always I this is the core theme I have with all my students. Doesn't matter if it's technology or YouTube or anybody I come across. I want small wins because you may say, I want all of this fixed, but all of this being fixed is a lot of my favorite word, second favorite phrase, environmental variables, right? Like for you to buy into what I'm helping you with, I need to show you that hey, let's fix like small little wins. And so it's always a celebration because when we're introducing students to like YouTube or Restream or whatever, and I'm like, well, I have an account. They tell me they have an account. I'm like, great. Have you logged in? Yes, I've logged in. Okay. Well, I want to have access to your computer so I can show you where the buttons I use are. Not all the buttons, but I want you to be comfortable with the layout. And I want you to have getting like because it's like breath work, right? Like they need to be comfortable because if a confused mind is never going to be a successful mind. Like confused buyer, if somebody's confused on what you actually do for them, they're not going to buy. It's different when they walk into a retail store because they've walked through the golden arch, they've walked through that door, and they either leave without anything or they get tricked through psychology, sales psychology, and buy. It's like walking into Costco. I want a rotisserie chicken, and they roll out with a shopping cart of $900. That is no, 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 no. I know. I just that little win like little wins. That's a celebration, and that's the core thing I say all the time to people. I'm like, we have a conversation. I want you to come away from this conversation with one thing that you're happy that you learned or it was successful or whatever. Because you got to celebrate. Because if not, you're just going to be grumpy that things don't work. Or yeah, I agree. I lost connection. Can you? But so it says that I'm disconnected, so I'm not really sure. So I'm just gonna talk then. Okay, and then we'll find out if it's on. Okay, you can hear me now. Now it says reconnected. So you know what? We needed a pause for me to come in and do this. Are you gonna bring up the digital download icon screen? Because I've got a couple things to talk about. We've got the May digital download. I've got 6 points here to talk about. So I wanted to make sure I did had an image so we can talk about the things on your fourth wall store. And if I need to go find them and share them, I will do that. But then I think you still have to let me share them on the screen. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the May digital download. It's called Expand Your Reach. It's this month's digital guide. And please grab it and start using it this week. We're into May, right? So start of the month, and it's good to just get acquainted with the energy for May, and it's easy one click download, one click purchase, download it, and get acquainted with it. And Julie's have been putting out there's so much details in these digital downloads, and they're super easy to find on her website. And you just go to digital downloads, and this is how you can get started with her and her knowledge. And um, read it. They also show up on your YouTube channel on your store link, right? Yeah, exactly. So there's two ways to find them, either on breathewithinyoga.com, or if you'll notice them popping up on being tagged on her videos on her YouTube store, which is another one of the things that we teach our students to do when they are building up their YouTube channels. Second thing is the stay oriented. You got that coming up. Okay, perfect. It's right there in the set. So yes, it's right there, right next to the May digital download. Stay oriented, March to August 2026. So it's a 25-page, 6-month navigation guide for the months where momentum is rebuilding quietly, designed for exactly where we are right now. So many people, it's springtime. We've come out of hibernation, winter hibernation, and you're building out your spring, summer, fall plans, right? So this is perfect. March to August, um, you're building, right? So spring's snow's melting, it's gardening time, planning summer activities time, planning your fall. Like you need it. You'll find that your life goes so much smoother when you actually are planning with how things work out for you, because this is why when Julie and I plan our travel, we're literally using our app and we're literally typing in travel days to figure out, hey, what days are good, what days are bad, and just things to be aware of. Because when you become more in tuned with nature and your life and slow down and plan things out, you'll recognize signs. And when you're not recognizing those signs, that's usually when stuff goes bad. And And then we're just gonna reintroduce you to ask you to go sign up to be a beta tester for our astrology ecosystem we're building out. You can sign up on breathewithinyoga.com under it's on the title bar there, become an awakened light beta tester. Another if you want to have a one-on-one with Julie, you can book a session also on our website to go deeper with your own chart, your timing cycles, and your spiritual path. Because we find this a lot where people are like, hey, well, I like your app and I sort of understand astrology, but I don't understand all this wording. And then I'm like, this is what you typically need somebody to interpret for you and say, okay, what are you going through in your life? Energy you're holding on to. This is precisely how you use the app and interpret and understand. You might maybe you're just located in the wrong part of the world. We noticed that based on travel. Like travel super things are super easy for us in certain places and then just more challenging in others, and that's really just based on your astrology sign. Even if you don't think it could be, it realistically is, and that's why we're like, oh, you know, it's just it's especially when you see like, it may not be you. You may have just people in your life where you're like, they always seem super frustrated or super stuck, or the only thing you see them posting about on social media is like, "This doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't work." And, of course, they may just, like, what's actually affecting them the most, right? Like, they're stuck in these repeat cycles, like, the location they're in is just not good, but they were born there, and they never moved, or they're stuck because of a divorce or a job layoff. Is that why people just wanna go on vacation? Because it's just a different place, different then they just feel perfect. Um, Great oversight. This is why we want more we tell everybody about this. Every person who comes up to me, they're like, "Are you into astrology?" I was like, "Oh, you wanna know my sign?" I just attract people like that all the time. No matter where I go, people ask me my sign. I'm like, "I'll tell you my sign." I'm like, "Sagittarius." "Ooh, I like Sagittarius." And it's like, "I know, I like my own sign too. Thank you." And then I'm like, "Hey, if you're astrology curious, come sign up for Awakened Light as a beta tester so we can make a better product because, you know, it's always about, oh, okay. Well, they were here. This is why my wife gives me so much feedback on my YouTube University, and this is why she gives me so much feedback. And on my channel, on our students' channels, because I'm like, hey, we got to work on this stuff every single. And we still may not be happy with it every single day, but this is why we have our YouTube Universe. I am YouTubeFamous.com. We have, you know if you're learning YouTube, if you're we're streaming right now onto YouTube and many other social medias, right? This is how we're building our entertainment company. Our this is how we're building it. We're 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 instructing by we're demonstrating by doing it because I talk to people all the time. As I said, I'll have a I'll have a business owner come up to me, ask me a couple things, and ask me about astrology, or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? You've got such great questions when you come up to meet people. You should have your own channel. Have you thought about this? Oh, I don't have the time. Oh, I tried it. Or I did a course, but the course was just videos. And I can watch a video, Mike, but I'm never going to go make my own video. And I'm like, that's why you should join the visibility engine at IamYouTubeFamous.com, because you know you should be doing it. You're already consuming other people's content. You're thinking about making your own content. So what you're going to do is you're going to sign up on our 8-week visibility engine, and we're going to meet twice a week. And we're going to be like, okay, what's the elephant in the corner? You have not added videos to your YouTube channel in 6 months. We need to refresh your thumbnail. We need to refresh your back banner. We need to add videos. We need to figure out your 2 hours, 3 hours you have per week where you can focus on this. We need to build out your workflow, how you're going to get started, what days of the week you're going to work on it, what tools you're going to use to come up with your ideas. I'm going to text you every single day. You can ghost me for a week. I'm going to get concerned if you're ghosting me. I'm just going to be that coach who's there with you to say, okay, we need to. I know you had medical stuff this week. I know you had family stuff. I know it snowed 6 feet. Hey, you're stuck at home. You should be able to work on this stuff. As long as you got internet connection and a good attitude and you've done some breath work, you should be able to pick up the call, get on Zoom with me, and we're going to work through this and build it out, because you know you should be doing it. You've been self-employed 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. Why are you relying on Facebook to promote yourself? You should make the content. Put it everywhere. Put it on YouTube, get it on Google My Business, and get it on your Facebook. Get it everywhere, because we really don't know who sees it, because it's usually the people who are quiet. Your hidden audience, they're the ones who are like, that's a good idea, I should do it. But unless you're promoting it and promoting, like, you'd be surprised. You don't know until you don't know, right? It's okay. Oh my god, I got the same like 50 every single week on LinkedIn, and nobody leaves a comment or likes it or shares it. But I'm like, so you're watching me to see what I'm doing this week. So thank you for watching. But thank you for. Go ahead. Okay. Well, I think I'm supposed to read this, so you're removing my job. Thank you for being here. It means everything to share this space with you. We are back live next Sunday, same time, same place, minus tech issues. We will have the full energy forecast for the week of May 10th to May 17th. And that sounds weird saying it's going to be halfway through the month at the end of next week, but that's, the next limb of yoga as a survival tool, and another oracle pull for you, because we have a hidden audience who's like, where's those oracle cards? And we're like, we're gonna do them for you. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell so you get notified when we go live, because that's the best thing about YouTube. You subscribe, you hit that bell, you're gonna get the email from YouTube that we're live. That's why I love YouTube so much. People are like, why do you love it so much? I'm like, that drip email when somebody goes live. I love it because I may forget about you, but if YouTube emails me, I'm gonna go check out your stuff. I was gonna say, you don't is that show really for me because it's called Am I the Asshole? Really? I like how it's just named after me. Thank you so much. That's all. Thank you for yeah, exactly, but it's for me, so thank you. I just figured that out. It's for me. Okay. I know because I love them because I like pointing out that people may or may not be, but it's really just your interpretation of the environmental variables. Anyway, let's don't get hacked. Don't get hacked. Those are both on YouTube as well. We stream everything to my Facebook as well. So, you'll find us every if you just need to subscribe to Breathe Within Yoga and don't get hacked. And I am YouTube famous, and you'll get all of our shows. And this is, that's thank you. Thank you for being here and sharing the space with us because we want to empower you to kickstart this off for yourself, your business, your brand, your nonprofit, your books, the jewelry you make, whatever type of creator you are, you got to have a show. Please. And it's always fun because the stories are good. And that's all because my wife is finding amazing stories. And she's like, what do you think about these? I'm like, I don't want to know the story until we go live with it. So you catch me with my hamster wheel thinking, like, wait a minute. I love that. I love that revenge, but that is really assholish behavior. But I love it. Because you're enjoying it. That's why I went long. Bye.